NASCAR official Kerry Tharp is in the Commonwealth preparing for next month's big weekend at the Kentucky Speedway. Kerry, welcome back, and welcome back home to Louisville.
Well, thank you, Bruce. It's great to be on the show, and it's certainly good to see you as well.
You know what? You got to tour we'll talk NASCAR in just a second. You got to tour the Louisville Slugger Museum. How'd you like that? You know, I know they presented you a bat, and it looked like a lot of fun.
It was fascinating. What a first-class facility over there at the Louisville Slugger Museum and Bat Factory. The people there were terrific. They did surprise me with a bat of my own. I mean, I was floored, and to know the expertise and all the quality that goes into making those bats is just phenomenal.
I figured you were going to bring the bat in case I asked any questions you didn't like. You know, you'd keep me in line one way or the other.
I'll keep that for race weekend.
Yeah, you might need that for race weekend.
Right.
You know, as a NASCAR official, I know you're not publicly rooting for any particular driver, but how much does it help the sport when a future Hall of Famer like Jeff Gordon is able to go and get another win to his resume? I think he's had 89. I think that was his 89th now.
Right. Well, it certainly is big, Bruce. Jeff Gordon, certainly one of the more popular drivers in the sport, and certainly has been one of the more accomplished drivers in the sport. And for him to win the other night at Kansas, he was pumped. Yeah. Him and his race team were pumped. They'll get in the chase now with the new format. Coming into the All-Star race this weekend at Charlotte, they're riding a wave of momentum. It's also coming up on the 20th anniversary of his first Sprint Cup Series win next week at Charlotte. So big weekend for Jeff last week at Kansas, and it's a nice way to come into Charlotte.
You know, for folks, since you brought up the All-Star race, for folks that don't follow NASCAR as closely as other folks, why is it important for NASCAR to have this All-Star race, this non-points race that really doesn't count except for the fact you can win a lot of money?
Well, you can, but I think it's for the fans. The fans like to see their heroes, their stars compete. It is a fun event, and you've seen it before firsthand. It's a very, very competitive event because if you're going to hand out $1 million to the race winner, that's a big deal. And there's a lot of bragging rights on the line. It's a good way to prepare for the Coca-Cola 600 that's the following week. But we take a lot of pride in our All-Star race. We believe it's the best one there is in sports.
Yeah, and frankly, if you come in second or you come in 20th, it really doesn't matter. If you don't win, you're not making the money. Right,
and it's a good comparison to how we're doing things this year. You know, we've really put an emphasis on winning in our sport, and the Sprint All-Star race is all about winning. They want to get that trophy, and they want to get that $1 million and the bragging rights, and it should be exciting. We always look forward to that event.
What's been the feedback on the new rule changes? Basically, if you win a race, you're probably in the chase.
Well, you are, and that was a rule change that we brought in at the beginning of the season. Pretty radical rule change, I might say, is far different from how we used to set the field for the chase. But we felt like it was time to get a very strong premium on winning. So if you win a race over those first 26 races, and if you stay in the top 30 in points, you are going to get in the chase. Somebody has said, well, what if you get more than 16 winners? Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, and certainly we have checks and balances in place to officiate that when we get there. But right now we're 11 races in. We have 9 different race winners, and the competition has gone up a notch, and we're thrilled with that. We think it's even going to get better as the season unfolds.
Absolutely. You've got Jimmy Johnson, a former multiple champion, who right now doesn't have a win, and so right now is sort of on the bubble, to use a basketball term.
Well, right, and there's several drivers like Jimmy. Jimmy has not won. Tony Stewart has not won a race. Matt Kenseth has not won a race. Casey Kane has not won a race. So Greg Biffle has not won a race. So there's a long list of drivers who you think are going to win races. And as the calendar turns, and even when we get to Kentucky Speedway, there'll be 10 chances left for those drivers to get a win before the chase.
You talk about Matt Kenseth and you talk about Kentucky. He's the defending champion at the Kentucky Speedway. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, the other two winners at the Speedway in Sparta. You know, when I talk to the drivers, they seem to really like racing at the Speedway. It almost seems like it's one of those under-the-radar races because it's not in a huge metro area, and yet it's extremely popular.
It is very popular. The racetrack is what we like to say has a lot of character. It's a racetrack that is very challenging to drive, has a lot of bumps in it, a lot of contour, and you can come out of that race and you really have said to yourself, if I win at Kentucky Speedway, I've driven quite a race here today. And so, as you mentioned, Matt Kenseth, defending race winner there, and I know he would like to defend that crown, but there's a lot of people out there that would like to take it from him as well.
You know, for folks that have not had a chance to go to a NASCAR race, you really need to check it out. I mean, you can't really understand how fast these cars go because on TV, everything is relative. You don't realize how fast 190 is, or even if you take it down to the nationwide and the truck race, you know, how fast triple digits are.
It really is, and I encourage people that want to get even up close and more personal with the sport to go to one of these driving schools, go to one of these driving experiences at their local track. And I know Kentucky Speedway has several up there as well. So it is a thrill to be able to go at those high speeds. And then, oh, by the way, there's 42 other drivers out there trying to do what you're trying to do and navigate up through some traffic. So my hat's off to them. What they do is incredible. It takes a tremendous amount of focus and eye-hand coordination and ability to be able to do what they do.
Kerry, as we begin to wrap this up, we've talked about Sprint Cup, but Kentucky will have the triple because they'll have the trucks and they'll also have the nationwide series. To use baseball as an analogy, you've got AA, AAA, and the major leagues.
Right, and it's a triple hitter that weekend, and we don't get too many of those during our race season. And to be able to offer up the Camping World Truck Series on Thursday night, the Nationwide Series on Friday night, and then the Sprint Cup Series on Saturday night, I think gives the fans a wide variety of racing to attend. You know, if they want to come out and maybe see a little shorter event, come out to the Camping World Truck Series, or if they're likely to come out on a Friday night, see the Nationwide, and then the big race Saturday night. But it's an opportunity also to see a lot of the young stars that are coming up through the ranks, as well as some of the veterans.
Kerry Tharp, NASCAR official, also used to work with the Gamecocks, so he's pretty pumped up that Jadeveon Clowney was the top overall pick.
I sure am.
That's your guy.
I am, and I'll be a Gamecock at heart, but it's great to be back in Louisville as well.
Kerry, it's great to see you as always. Thank you very much for a few minutes.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.